If you're diving into a DIY solar, RV, or marine build, you're going to hit a wall with one really critical decision. How in the world do you connect those big, high-current battery cables? It's a huge debate, and you'll find strong opinions everywhere you look. Yep, it all boils down to this one question: solder or crimp? And I know it sounds simple, but the answer has massive implications for the safety and, honestly, the reliability of your entire system. It's probably one of the biggest points of confusion out there for builders. So today, we're going to slice right through all the myths and the "I heard from a guy who heard from a guy" stories. We're going to break down the actual engineering behind both methods. The goal here is simple: to give you the info you need to build a system that's not just powerful, but fundamentally safe. Let's get into it. Okay, first things first. Let's be really clear why this isn't just a simple preference, like choosing a paint color. This is one of the most critical safety decisions you will make for your electrical system, period. We are not talking about tinkering with a little circuit board here. Think of these battery cables as the super highways for your power. We're talking over 200 amps of DC current flowing through them. At that level of power, even a tiny, tiny bit of resistance creates a choke point, and that choke point generates a scary amount of heat exactly where you don't want it. And a bad connection? Oh, it can be absolutely catastrophic. We're talking severe overheating that can melt insulation, high DC current arcing that can literally vaporize metal, and yeah, a very real risk of fire. And if you're in an RV or a boat, add vibration to the mix. A weak joint can just shake itself apart, leading to a total power loss or, even worse, a dangerous short circuit. So with the stakes being that high, let's bring in the two main contenders and really get to know them. First up, in this corner, we have soldering. The idea here is you're creating a molecular bond. You're basically using a molten metal alloy to fuse the wire strands directly to the lug. And, in theory, this creates this perfect, seamless electrical path with super low resistance, which is why it's so popular for small electronics. And in the other corner, we've got crimping. This is a totally different beast. It's a purely mechanical bond. You take a specialized tool and it deforms a metal lug with an incredible amount of force, squishing it around the wire. This creates what's called a gas-tight connection, which is so tight that no air or moisture can get in and cause corrosion down the road. All right, it's time for the head-to-head showdown. We're going to judge these two methods on three absolutely crucial criteria to see which one really comes out on top for these big, high-current jobs. Round one, it's all about mechanical strength. Which connection can handle the real world, the bumps, the shakes, the vibrations you're going to find in any moving vehicle or boat? And wow, the difference here is night and day. Solder makes the wire really stiff and brittle right at the joint. So under constant vibration, that stiff spot acts like a hinge, bending the copper strands inside, back and forth, until they just get tired and snap. A proper crimp, on the other hand, creates a super strong but still flexible mechanical bond. It moves with the wire, making it way, way more durable for anything that moves. Okay, on to round two, electrical reliability. A strong physical connection is totally useless if it can't handle the power safely, right? So which one gives us the most consistent, low-resistance path for all that electricity? So here's the deal, and this is really important. A perfect solder joint has amazing conductivity, but that word perfect is doing a lot of work there. It is very, very easy to create what's called a cold solder joint, which looks fine on the outside, but has high resistance on the inside. It's basically a ticking time bomb for overheating. A proper crimp, though, made with the correct tool and die size, it's incredibly consistent. It delivers that reliable, low-resistance connection every single time. And for our final round, let's look at how these two methods usually fail, because, knowing how things break is the first step to preventing them from breaking in the first place. When you look at the common failure modes, a really clear pattern starts to emerge. With soldering, failures often come down to bad technique, like that cold joint, or from environmental stress, like vibration shaking it apart. But for crimping, the risks are almost entirely about one thing: using the wrong tool. An improper die size will absolutely result in a failed crimp. But here's the key: if you use the right tool for the job, those other risks, especially from vibration, are pretty much gone. So after 3 rounds, looking at mechanical strength, electrical reliability, and how they fail, the winner is, well, it's crystal clear. For the heavy hitters, the high current battery banks in your solar setup, your RV, your boat, crimping isn't just an option. It is the undisputed professional standard. Its blend of raw mechanical strength and repeatable electrical performance makes it the safest and most reliable choice, hands down. So, does this mean you should just chuck your soldering iron in the trash? No way, not at all. For small electronic components, for little wires in a box that isn't going to be bouncing down the road, soldering is totally fine. It's a great skill to have. But for the main arteries of your system, those big, high current cables, especially in anything that moves and vibrates, crimping is the non negotiable choice if you care about safety and long term reliability. Okay, so we know what to do. But knowing the verdict is one thing and actually doing it safely is a whole other ballgame. So let's run through a quick non-negotiable safety checklist for making these connections. And I mean non-negotiable. You can't skip these. First, and I cannot say this loud enough, always disconnect the battery completely before you start any work. Second, wear your safety gear, your glasses and gloves. Third, and this is the magic key for crimping, you have to use the correct tool and the exact die size that's specified for your wire and your lug. And finally, never ever assume a crimp is good just because it looks okay. You have to verify every single one. So how do you verify? Yeah, you give it a look, but that's not enough. You have to do the pull test. And I mean, give it a firm, solid tug. It should not budge, period. If it moves even a little bit, it's a fail. Cut it off and do it again. Then, after everything's connected, use a multimeter to check your polarity before you power anything up. And the ultimate test, if you really want to be sure, is to measure the voltage drop across that connection when it's under a heavy load. So, as you go to work on your own projects, I'll leave you with this one question to think about. Now that you know the professional standard, you have to ask yourself, is the system you're building designed to last for years and keep you safe? Or is a single poorly made connection just a ticking clock, waiting to fail? The choice really is yours.